I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Kodash. Um, just an observation that I made. I was watching Elder Apostle Tahar's video that he did, dealing with the Apostle Paul. And pretty much, you know, um, when he went, he was going to go to Jerusalem. And pretty much he had the vow upon him where he shaved his head, to fulfill the vow of a Nazarite, because he was about to go to Jerusalem, to keep the feast of the Passover. And as I was listening to the Apostle Tahar, I was meditating on that, and pretty much right now, uh, as I was looking for a place to park real quick, um, it came to mind, that pretty much the Apostle Paul, Satan is a real mother, boy. The Apostle Paul, right? Um, he had that vow on him, and how he was speaking about, about the long hair to the Corinthians. When he had that vow on him, he wasn't going around telling everybody that he had the vow of a Nazarite upon him. They instinctively knew. Why? Because his hair was longer than normal, and he went and he, shaved it off because he had that vow that he had, to the Lord, and, I just meditated on that, that the reason why they knew he wasn't around going and telling everybody, because the Apostle Paul wasn't one to go around telling everybody what he was doing, except it was to teach the gospel, and, I just, perceived that in the spirit, Come on, dude. I just perceived that in the spirit. There's no rest for the weary in this motherfucking kingdom, boy, I tell you. Anyway, so, I just, made that observation. And, Salaki, I'm just cracking up, man. This shit is funny. Either you go crazy or you just laugh or cry or whatever the fuck it is, man. Because Satan, boy, that motherfucker is a real, he's a real piece of work. Let me tell you, he's a real piece of work. Anyways, so, that I just meditate on that just now as I was, like I said, finding a place to park, which took me a while. But anyways, also, as he was reading, I believe he was reading from a commentary, he mentioned in the commentary that, Salaki, I'm just laughing. One of the things that they mentioned in the commentary was to read the book of Acts 21, right? So I did go there and I read it, right? The scripture that the apostle called in the from the commentary. I believe it was, no, I'm sorry. He typed in the apostle Paul shaved his hair or something like that, and this is what came up. And this is one of the sites that came up. That's what it was. So Acts 21:26, which was the scripture they sent you to, right? It said, then Paul took the men, and the next day, purifying himself with them, entered into the temple to signify the accomplishment of the days of purification, unto that an offering should be offered for every one of them. And when the 7 days were almost ended, the Jews which were of Asia, when they saw him in the temple, stirred up all the people and laid hands on him, crying out, men of Israel, help. This is the man that teaches all men everywhere against the people and the law and this place, and further brought Greeks into the temple and hath polluted this holy place. These were Israelite foreigners that he brought into the temple. That's what they were saying. For they had seen before him with him. So let me read that again. For they had seen before with him in the city Trophimus, an Ephesian, which was an Israelite from Ephesus, an Israelite foreigner, whom they supposed that Paul had brought into the temple. And all the city was moved, and the people ran together, and they took Paul and drew him out of the temple, and forthwith the doors were shut. And as they went about to kill him, see, because remember the Apostle Paul was in perils of death many times. He actually died one time. And they, after they beat him down, he was actually dead, and they pulled him out of the out of the city, and threw him outside of the city like trash, you know. And he was actually dead, but the Lord put the spirit back in him, and that's when, you know, he went into the spirit world. And this is where, you know, in the book of either Second Corinthians, the 12th chapter, he mentioned about it. It says, and as they went about to kill him, tidings came unto the chief captain of the band that all Jerusalem was in an uproar. So you had the police at the time, the Roman centurions, the Roman guards, running to quell this violence, who immediately took soldiers and centurions and ran down unto them. And when they saw the chief captain and the soldiers, they left beating of Paul. And they pretty much beat Paul within an inch of his life. It says, then the chief captains came near and took him and commanded him to be bound with 2 chains, and demanded who he was and what he had done. And some cried one thing, some another among the multitude. And when he could not know the certainty for the tumult, he commanded him to be carried into the castle, because they had beat Paul so bad that the soldiers had to carry him, right? And we, just by reading things like this, we know that Jake killed the prophets. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou which stonest the prophets. The other nations weren't killing the prophets. It was the Israelites. All right, that's another way you know that these people were Israelites. It says, and when he came upon the stairs, so it was that he was born of the soldiers for the violence of the people. So they had to carry him. So they were carrying him because of the violence that took place. You know, so I kind of thought that was, you know, kind of heavy. No, it's no big deep mystery, but it's just, I thought that was kind of heavy, you know. And I thought about pretty much the persecution that happens, you know, with the men of the Lord, with the prophets, you know, and how they, you know, were at the point of death many times, you know, beatings and all kind of stuff for this word, you know. And another point that the apostle made was when he read in, I believe that was Acts, the 17th chapter, where he mentioned, you know, about being an offspring, which, as the apostle said, being the offspring of the Most High, we are spiritual offsprings of the Most High, right? So why isn't it that, you know, these so-called quote-unquote Christians or Renaissance Christians, why don't they take that scripture and say that all these people that the apostle Paul was speaking of were born of a virgin birth, when it says that we were the offspring of the Most High? You see? Why aren't they taking that scripture and saying that all these men, including Paul, were born of a virgin birth? They were only born of a woman and not of a man. When we read the book of St. John, the first chapter, right? When we read the book of St. John, the first chapter, just bear with me. St. John 1, I'm not sure the exact verse, so just bear with me. Right, St. John 1 and 12, it says, but as many as received him, meaning Yahushai, there were Israelites that received him. Not all Israelites rejected the Lord. That's some bullshit they teach, you know, he came to his own accepted him not. No, so that, in other words, that means that he came to the Jews rejected him, so now they're going to the Gentiles. No, because the disciples themselves were Israelites. Yahushua himself was an Israelite. John the Baptist was an Israelite. You had people that received John the Baptist, that were baptized by John the Baptist. The disciples themselves were baptized by John the Baptist. You know, Yahushua was baptized by John the Baptist. You had men that believed in the Lord. Even after the Lord left, you had people that were coming to the doctrine of the Lord and being delivered and saved daily, coming to the ministry. So not all Israel rejected the Lord. And the ones that were among the other nations, the reason why they accepted, the Israelites that were among the other nations, the reason why they accepted was because they were part of the election. So it says, but as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, just like Yahushua is the son of the Most High, but he is the Son, the only begotten. It says, even to them that believe on his name, because not everybody believes on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of the Most High. So how come they don't teach that the people that accepted the Lord were all born of a virgin birth? You see? Hence the offspring of the Most High. Because as I was meditating on that also, that scripture, of course, we are spiritual, offspring of the Most High, spiritual, men of the Lord, Lord's will we be the elect, and also what that's dealing with too is of the seed of the promise, of that chosen line, the offspring, meaning the promised line of Abraham, through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see, we are also the offspring in that manner. We're spiritual offspring of the Lord, but also through that chosen line that the Lord promised to Abraham by an oath. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I thought, that was kind of heavy. I mean, it may not hit you brothers out there the same way it hit me, but I thought that was pretty heavy. Like I said, I was meditating on it. And there was one more thing that the apostle had mentioned towards the end of the video, because I've been watching that video for the last few hours, watch a little here, half hour here, 15 minutes there, 10 minutes here, till I finished watching the whole video, because it was like an hour and about 22 minutes. So I just thought that was pretty heavy. Like I said, I just meditated on it, just wanted to speak about, say a few words on it. So, with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. And now that I'm about to finish the lesson and sign off for the moment, all this ruckus that was here earlier is gone now. That's why I was laughing. So, with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.